Welcome to the second season of the Deployment Dojo. This is episode 8 of our live show where we introduce and discuss software installation topics to make you a better setup ninja. I'm your host, Rob Menching, and joining me once again is my very good friend and first student of the dojo, David Edson. David, how you doing, my man?
Hey, pretty good. How are you?
All right, I'm doing well. I'm excited for today because we're not doing anything new. we're
Okay.
we're going to take everything that we've done so far and just kind of roll it up into a working project with a couple steps because we need to build up a system before we introduce the next more layers of complexity or of flexibility or of features, whatever you want to call it, of MSBuild. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so to do that, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I have two projects I want us to do, and we're gonna do them in order. And I really want it to be one project, but it turns out some of the built-in features of MSBuild didn't go the way I wanted them to. So the first project we're going to do, which is what we're going to start with today, is we're going to build this thing that I'm calling an audit project or an audit target. And its whole purpose is just to track files, and I hope maybe they're modified timestamps. All right.
Okay.
So it's very contrived, but it's something that will happen as part of your build process, something that we can see as an output. Because we've just been copying our source files from point A to point B. And as we've noticed with like some of the ins and outs, it's kind of tricky with all the timestamps not changing, right? We saw that, David, with the copy maintaining our timestamps.
Right.
And that's not really the way most of your process works. Usually you build something or you output something as you're going along your process. So I want to do that with this audit thing. After we get our audit project all done, and it might take us 1 or 2, maybe 3 episodes to kind of wrap it all up, because we're going to build the whole unit to make it usable in other projects and everything. All right, so we're going to build a real reusable piece of functionality as opposed to starting from scratch every time.
Okay.
After that, I then want to build a zip project where you can list a bunch of files, and the output will be a zip file. All right.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll be able to use everything that we've done thus far to build these two. So we're going to start with the audit project today. We'll work our way through that, and then we'll start the zip project. And you'll see why the zip project is second. It's more complicated. It will expose us to more functionality of MSBuild. Where the audit project, we have most of what we need built into MSBuild. We just have to glue it all together with our own targets and such like that. Cool?
Okay. Cool.
Cool. All right, everybody. Let's get on board and get started with some code. All right, here we are. We're starting blank. We're probably not getting that far today, but we will eventually push this thing that I'm calling this audit project up to GitHub. So you'll be able to experiment with it the way that we do. All right, David, you remember GitHub and all that?
Yep.
We're finally getting to the point where we have something useful to do. All right, so getting started. We're still going to create our dojo.proj. And the dojo.proj is still kind of like the user's project file, all right? This is not our reusable pieces. This is just our project file that we use to drive, or in our case here, test and experiment, all right? So I will create my project. I will create my project. And I will have an item in here, item group. And what I want is to have a collection. I was going to call it a collection. Items, which are a collection, that I want them to be able to say audit files that exist. All right, so we're going to build behavior behind the idea of there being this item called audit, named audit. Does that make sense? Right? So we're going to do something with this. And I'm going to create a.text. This is what we're doing. This is a.text. Cool. 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 All right, so we have a project. It doesn't do anything other than say, hey, I have this a.text that I would like to audit. Pretty basic, doesn't do anything. So let's go ahead and start building our system for auditing. So a lot of times we put our target right here as we're experimenting with our project file. But I don't want to do that. I want to set this up this time like we're building the audit system, and this is just our test project, which means we're not going to put our project in here. We're going to put it in our audit.targets. I forgot how to spell it for a while. Don't Sorry, hitting spaces. All right, cool. So we're going to go create an audit targets file where we put all of our auditing work. All right.
Okay.
Hopefully this feels very like typical. It's like, oh yeah, okay, we did this before. All right. A long time ago, maybe. All right. So here's our audit targets. And of course, targets are also a project. And we will create a target in here. We will name it auditing, I guess.
Nope. Typo.
Yeah, I'll get there. Typing and talking is harder than you might think out there. All right. And like all good times, we'll start with our message because this will carry us for quite a while. Text equals audit equals the audit item collection. All right. So we're going to do a lot of work inside this audit targets file. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So have all this set up. Let's go ahead and build it. So we have our a.text, which isn't anything interesting. We have this auditing targets that we will be doing all our work in. And we have our Dojo project that just says, hey, here's a.text. Please audit it for me. And then we'll talk about what that actually means in a minute. All right. So MSBuild. We'll do a clear screen because that's a good thing. And boom, there we go. You can see we only have one target, our target, doing auditing. And it says the audit contains the a.text collection. Cool?
Cool.
All right. We're off to the races now. Okay. Now let's start doing the hard part. Now, I said what I want to do is have it audit the files, which basically just says, hey, here's the list of files that you told me to track. So, and I mentioned that we're doing auditing because it's easier than the things we'll do as zipping, but that's because we have this nice functionality built in to MSBuild that I believe is called write lines to file. And you know what? I don't remember it well enough, so I have to go grab a tab over here off of my browser and we'll look it up. Write lines to file. I'm confident that's what it's called. The MSBuild task is write lines to file. And we will tell it the file we want to create and the lines that we want to put in it and whether we overwrite what encoding we want to use. So we could use Unicode or ANSI or some other crazy encoding and write only when different. That's kind of cool. So all kinds of built-in functionality to write lines to file. So first thing we give it is a file, and we'll just call it for now audit.txt. Okay, seems reasonable, right?
Okay.
And our lines will be what we need to figure out. And I do want to add overwrite equals true. Yes, on. Do you have a preference? All of those are true. We'll do true because I still think on looks silly. All right, so the question is, what are we going to write as lines to our file? Well, we want to write the files that we need to audit, which is represented right here. Right?
Okay.
All right, cool. So now we're going to run this again. Clear screen, MSBuild. We will still get the same output, but notice over here in the directory with all of our other stuff, we now have this audit.txt, pops open, and ta-da, a.text is there.
Okay.
You're like, great. We now have a task that audits what we told it to. All right, so let's go to our test project. It makes it a little more complicated before we do anything else. I'm going to change this to include star.txt, and I am going to add another b.txt file in here. Call it this is b.txt. Okay, so what have I done? I've said we are now going to audit all of the text files in the same directory as the project file. Okay.
Okay.
And then we're going to update, hopefully see this audit.txt file get updated. Okay. So I'm going to run it again. We've changed our test project, the Dojo.project. We haven't changed our target select. Clear screen, MSBuild, run it, and we get, we get a.txt, audit.txt, and b.txt. Why did we get audit.txt?
So you're grabbing all of the files in there.
I'm grabbing all the text files, and audit.txt is included in that collection there.
Yep.
All right. This is a great time. We're gonna tackle that problem. All right, because we don't want our audit.txt to get audited every time, right? That's weird, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we'll handle that in a moment. But before we do that, let's audit something a little bit more interesting. Let's make it a bit more interesting. We have lots of metadata on items, like the last modified time. That could be really useful, right, David? When we're doing all
Right.
those copies, being able to say, hey, here's your file, and here's the last modified time.
Yep.
Yep, that sounds really good. So how could we do that? Well, we could say percent audit dot identity. So I'll get my text file, and then percent audit dot what was it? Last modified time, I think. You know what? We really should go over to search and do MSBuild built-in metadata, I think is what it's called. Yeah. MSBuild items with metadata. I think that's it. Well-known item. Hey, look at that. First time. All right. Well-known metadata. And I'm looking for the one that I never use, but I think would be really cool. Access type modified time. I'm glad I looked. It's not last modified time. It's just modified time. All right. Cool. Does this look good?
Yes.
Yes. There's going to be a problem here, I expect, though. Also, I want to take this moment. Welcome, chat. Bert, Eugene, and Andy are here with us. Great to have you guys. There's a few more of you hanging out if YouTube is to believe how many people are watching us. You're all welcome. It's great to have you here. Why is this not going to work? Should we run it and see if we mess everything up? Or what?
Yes.
Let's just run it, because
Run
what's the worst that happened? You could just delete a bunch of files. No, we have no deletes. So the worst that could happen is overwrite our audit.txt file a bunch of times. All right,
Yes.
here we go. Boom. And, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it did work. Yep, it didn't work. All right, so we got b.text and the last modified time. That's good. That's what we wanted, b.text and its last modified time. But what are we missing?
Yeah. A.text.
Yes, a.text. And why are we missing? Well, not just a.text, David. Also audit.text.
Audit. Yeah.
Okay, we're missing both of them. Why are we missing them? This is it. I'm just gonna pause. I'll give a 10 internet points to chat that gets it first.
Something to do with the override, I guess. I don't.
Override is part of it. I think we want override as the behavior, though, right? We don't want it to build
Yes.
up over time. We delete a text file, don't delete a text file. That would be bad. But the override is part of it, so it's overriding the file. I'm gonna just give it, because it takes a little bit longer for chat to catch up here as we're going along. I have to figure out how are we going to show this. Nobody wants their 100 internet points. Was it 10 points or 100? I don't know. Free points to anybody. Everybody's top of the line. Andy, right, Bert? Nope. Andy, Eugene? All right. The answer is batching. Because of the percent sign, we are batching over these lines. So let's see what it looks like here when we will show it like this is what our lines would look like. Remember how I said we could use messages to mimic the behavior of MSBuild?
Yep.
Right? So here we are. I'm going to take this same input. I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to give it a prefix. Lines seems about right, because that's the lines for that. Now, when we run this, we get lines printed out 1, 2, 3 times. It has batched this message call and called it 3 times, once with each of our items, because we're picking off of the identity, right? So that's going to go to a unique value each time, in this case, which means we're running write lines 1, 2, 3 times.
Right.
So what's the end result? We get the last one. All right. So one way to fix this would be to overwrite false. All right. So we'll clear this, run it. And now when we look at audit.txt, yay! We have a.text, audit.text. Uh-oh, but we still have b.text left.
Yep.
And if I run it again, we have more things. So clearly we need overwrite, right? Because we don't want to be auditing all of our old. Although that would be kind of cool if we wanted to keep like a log of all our old stuff. But that's not our goal. That's not our goal. Our goal here is to get a clean file. So we can't use batching, which means we have to use transforms. Transforms, that funny syntax that nobody likes, right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't like the syntax either. But fortunately, with this in place here already, let's see if I can do it. All right, so remember, the way you do an item transform is you start with your item. Audit. Okay. And then you put your arrow, the little arrow, not big. Other shift key, Rob. There we go. Little arrow. And then you quote the stuff you want. All right. So we're trying to create this concept over here inside here, which means I want the transform to be the identity, the modify time inside my single quotes. That's not so bad, is it?
Yeah.
It's ugly when you see it all done, right? So start with your item, do your arrow, and give yourself single quotes for the things that you want to be presented. And then put the metadata that you want in here. So I want the identity, whatever was in the actual value. And then I want the modified time, right? And let's go ahead and update our message here with the same exact syntax. Boom. Okay.
All right.
All right. All right, great. So now when we clear screen, we will see our message. We'll see our message that shows us all of our outlines. Hopefully we see only one message with all of our transfer, and then we'll do our right lines. All right, here we go. Boom. Look, our lines are now print out one message with the semicolon delimiter list. So that means hopefully we should, if I didn't make any typos, our right line should have run once, which means we should get one file. Ta-da! And clearly the right lines task takes what would be semicolon delimited when you put the items all squished together. And it says right lines. So it says take this item and on each item, put them on their own line. Perfect. We got what we wanted. We still have audit.txt in there. That's busted. We'll get to that. This is good?
It's good.
This is good, right? Yes, okay, cool. So hopefully people are like, all right, hey, look, we're actually doing something that seems semi-useful. All right, I don't need this lines. We'll leave it around just in case we need it in the future, but I think we're pretty good on our lines. Well, we're not pretty good on our lines, but I think we've got it worked out. Okay, so identity's okay, but I would like to have a little bit more information. So let's go ahead and add inside our transform, we're going to add a few more pieces of information. So how about we do that? Modified, so it's a little clearer. And instead of identity, which gives us whatever is in our project, so whatever ends up in here, and we've seen it here, a.text, audit.txt, b.text. Instead of that, what if we do a different metadata here, like the full path? That feels more useful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. And then the next thing is let's also give it our project. Let's say which project this comes from. And I think that's in here. Defining project name. Let's just do the defining project name. Okay. So hopefully, if this works, we'll get the full path to the file with the project next, the defining project name, and then the modified time at the end.
Okay.
Sounds somewhere here. We're going to hold this open right here so we can see it happen, because VS Code will automatically reload the file for me when we do that. Boom. Yeah. Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? Project is Dojo, modified time over here, and our file over here. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. We're having our own little audit project here. All right, cool. All right, this is kind of fun. Do I want to try to do something hard? I want to try to quote these things. So now in MSBuild, you can do, oh man, if I could type, quote, OT. I think it's, no, is it quote? That should give us double quotes, I think. Let's see if we can get double quotes around our project name, just so I can see it a little better mixed in here. There, look, quote, quote, quote. There we go. So now we have, our quoted project name. And modified time is, I think that's pretty fine. And maybe we should quote the full path. All right, so let's change this. We're going to double quote the full path. So let's say we had spaces in it. I don't have spaces in my path, but if you did, it'd be nice to be like just copy the whole thing and paste it to something else into some command line or something. And then let's do, instead of quotes, we'll do single quotes on this one, also known as apostrophes.
All right.
Oh,
Nope. Got something wrong.
the specified item name full path. Did I typo something?
Delete. Yeah. It's like,
Didn't think I deleted anything. Really? Do I have to have... All right, let's take that quoted out again.
oh, and you have the double. No.
No. All right, let's see. It might be the apostrophes. These guys might be my problem.
It deleted an extra semicolon.
No, there we go.
Oh,
Did I?
You got it. Oh, no. I thought that you did. Never mind.
No, I think I'm good. Yep, all right. So... Okay, so there's project code. So I could double quote, but I can't single quote. All right, this actually kind of makes sense to me. So when I tried it's the and a pause that created the problem, which doesn't completely surprise me. So I wonder, all right, can I do this? This would be really strange if it allows me to do this. This should not be possible. I'm gonna try to do the double quotes here. Okay, so I'm gonna try to replace this double quotes inside there. I hope this fails. All right, good. Okay, good. So you can't put double quotes inside a double quoted item. Or
okay.
That's just like XML doesn't let you do that. Okay, so I'm putting those back to quotes. So this essentially is when you see this XML turn me into a double quote, and I need to use that escaped because I'm doing double quotes on the outside. So if you want to have quotes on the inside, you have to escape them, which is what this does. Now, also, this is MSBuild weirdness because everything inside here is just a string from XML's point of view. But this then, single quote, I think is getting confused by this single quote over here, right? So the way XML would work is it would load up this file, it would parse the double quotes, find everything inside here as a value, okay? Right, so grab the value. I'll bring it down here so we can see clear it's not that. All right, so XML parses, and it would pull out this and quote, so it would replace these quotes as it went along, and said, oh, okay, look, a quote, and another quote as a value, right? So this is the value that you would see from parsing this, and then it would say, oh, and here's an APOS, so I will turn that into a single quote, and then I will grab this one, and I'll also turn it into a single quote. All of this is MSBuild behavior. Okay. And then MSBuild comes along and goes, all right, I have a single quote. Oh, I'm doing an item transform. Great. I will look for a single quote, double quotes. I don't worry about those. Those are fine. I can handle those. And then it has this single quote, and it goes, cool. That's the end of my item. And this doesn't parse at this point, right? So XML turned it into this, and then MSBuild interpreted that string and hit the single quotes here. So I don't actually know if you can put single quotes like this inside of an audit. So I have to just use double quotes, I guess. Does that make sense what I just did there?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
What you put it out the long way, yeah.
Yeah, once you put it,
parsed it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, all right, so MSBuild parses this, sorry, XML parses this, and then MSBuild parses it, and so you have to deal with both of them interpreting all these funny strings. All right, so I guess we are good with double quotes. We will not be using single quotes to quote anything in the world. All right, cool.
Gotcha.
Yay, so we now have our own lines, and we can double quote our project name, which will also be good in case our project name is has spaces in it, right? It'd be nice to know that, oh, that has spaces in it. All right, cool. So we have our audit text, we have that. We're in pretty good spot at this point for our audit text. Let's solve the audit.text problem that,
okay.
AKA, it's showing up inside itself.
Okay. Is there some exclude thing in there or something for it?
Yes, David, very good. There is exactly an exclude in it. So the way to do exclude, and there's a couple ways now in modern MSBuild. I'm going to try the one I don't do, or actually this might always work. All right, there is an exclude. So you can say for this audit, %27. All right, let's try it. Okay, before we move on, Andy did the work to find what I'm gonna do. Okay, let's try it. Let's see if %27 works. Is it just %27 semicolon? I forget. This is what I didn't remember the syntax for. Is it just %27? I don't remember. This is the the syntax that I don't remember. Let's see what happens. Audit. Yes. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, Andy. You did the work for me to remind me of the thing I didn't want to work. All right, cool. I wasn't going to do this, but since Andy went off and remembered, let's do it because I did want to try. Okay, so notice by putting this %27 in here, suddenly we got single quotes in here. Yay, magic, right? Just works, right, Dave?
Okay, yeah, it did work.
And you're like, yeah, it worked. How? Okay, so this is MSBuild. So going back, thank you, Andy, for doing the work for finding this. Let's go back and look at our interpretation. So this is XML. Okay, this is what before XML parse. Okay, after XML parse, it will look like this, where I replace this, and I replace this. Boop. Cool. All right. So it goes through and finds all these ampersand quote, and there's also ampersand AMP and all that kind of stuff. Yes, Andy, you get 100 internet points. And so this is after XML parse. This makes sense. This is what we just looked at, right, Dave?
Right.
Okay, cool. So now let's, after XML parse, before MSBuild parse. So now let's look at it after MSBuild parse. Okay, so after MSBuild parse, MSBuild will go along and look for the percents in here. And if it finds a 2-digit parse after it, it finds, or after MSBuild parse, it goes through and it finds, oh, let me look up the ASCII code for this. That happens to be 27, happens to be apostrophe. And how do I know that? I don't. I'm trusting that Andy was right. The way that I look this up is I go to the internet and I search for ASCII chart. Remember a while ago I mentioned that we need to go find an ASCII chart to actually look this up?
Right.
Yeah, so here we are. I hope this is a good one. Okay, so we're looking for decimal 27. Escape? Oh, wait. That's not what I thought it was. ASCII table. Where is the... What am I missing? The single quote is... Oh, it is hex. Sorry, my bad. We're looking at hex, not decimal. So this number is hexadecimal, not decimal, which means I need to look at the 1, 2, 3rd column here, okay? So hexadecimal 27 is the apostrophe. Ta-da! So when MSBuild sees in the resulting XML parsed string, as it's running along, if it sees a percent and then 2-digit number, it'll be, oh, I can turn that into an ASCII character. So that's how you escape characters inside MSBuild. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So let's look for double quote. Double quote is 22. So instead of having MSBuild do our work real quick, let's have, I don't like that, I'll dark that there. Okay. Yeah. Let's, instead of using the XML escape characters, which I remember, let's do the MSBuild ones. So hopefully this will get us the same value. If this works, we're going to run it real quick, see if this works. So we want this basically to look the exact same when we get done.
Right.
And it does. Cool. It works because this was our first option when we had the and quote. All right. So let's do this again, but with our other line here. Okay. Okay. So this is option 1. This is option 2. All right, we're getting the same result with both of them, so let's go ahead and dig in through them. All right, here I said we weren't going to learn something new, and here we are learning something new. Anyway, okay, so before XML parse, it sees this, and it goes chugging along through all of these lines and the whole value across all of this, and it finds no ampersands in it at all, so XML does nothing. So after XML parse, it looks exactly the same, because XML is like, I don't see anything that I escape in here, no ampersands. And then MSBuild comes along and parses it, and after it parses it, it sees the %22 and goes, oh, that's a quote. Oh, there's another double quote. Here's %27. There's a single quote, and then another single quote, and then we're done. Cool?
Cool.
So we have two different ways of representing the double quotes, and we have one way of representing the single quotes when they're inside single quotes already. And hopefully this makes sense of when MSBuild is parsing these. First the XML parser gets it, and then the MSBuild parser gets it. Right?
Yep.
Right. Cool.
Right.
Do you have a preference for which syntax we keep? The %22 or the percent or the ampersand quote semicolon?
I don't necessarily have a preference. I don't know which one would be better to keep.
They're not better at this point. They're the same. They result in the same. The question is, do you like %22, knowing that this percent goes with this full path, %22, and then now, because we already have a %27, I'm kind of like, whichever way we want to go. But that's only because we have the 27. If we didn't have the 27, I would go with the XML because that's just more common. Also, you get syntax highlighting on the XML. That's the one reason I would like it better. But and I'm more used to it because, of course, Wix is XML, which means these are very natural to have in them. Wix doesn't do any of this percent stuff, though. That's purely an MS-Build behavior. An MS-Build behavior. All right.
Well, it doesn't seem like it hurts to mix it, though, right? In that one case here, since
it doesn't.
You kind of have to.
It doesn't. Like this is totally fine. Gives us the same answer.
Sure.
And you can see the XML parser understands, oh, that's what we call an entity. Yep. We run it. Same result.
It's kind of a reminder, too, at the same time.
Yeah. The one thing I don't like is, oh, hey, we could do this. Let's be inconsistent. Because everybody loves inconsistency.
Well, yeah.
There you go. Now we're going to do one of each.
there is that too. Consistency, I guess, is handy. Yeah.
Yeah. So whichever it goes. I don't generally prefer the %27 type stuff because when I don't end up in a situation where I need it very often, it's usually only inside of transforms. But also, I don't like this syntax because this looks like an environment variable to me, right? Because like in batch files and stuff, like that would be a way of showing an environment variable, and it's not. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it is purely a style thing. I would not recommend mixing and matching them like that together, this or that, whichever. We'll just go with that. All right, cool. Fun digression, David? Fun digression. All right, let's get back to task here. Let's get this audit.txt out of here because that's actually really important. Andy's dying now. He wants me to do %22 everywhere. I'm definitely leaving it now. Okay, so all right. So we need to manipulate or otherwise manage this our item group here because it's ending up with too many files in it. Our audit.txt is being included, and audit.txt is ours, so we should not have it show up in there. Right. So one thing that I don't remember if it was in MSBuild a long time ago, but one that you can do is we can bring the item group back, and you can say, hey, from these items, remember this is a collection, all with this name.
Right.
Remove audit.txt. So what this does is takes your collection and removes audit.txt from the collection right here, post facto. Like when this target runs, it will remove audit.txt from it if it works the way I think it does, because I haven't tested this. So if we run this, we have our audit.txt, should be over here, and we have our little thing being printed up. If this works, we will have no audit.txt in there. Poof.
Yep.
Done. Yay.
Nice.
Works great. Okay. So now let's do this real quick. I'm going to rename both of these text files, and I'm going to delete audit.txt. Yes, I want to move it to the recycle bin. It's fine. All right. So audit will find no files this time, right? Because I've renamed the two files called .txt to being some other extension, and audit.txt does not exist because I just deleted it. So the next time we run this, we should get no files found, right?
Right.
I'm just testing to make sure that this remove doesn't get upset at me when I ask it to remove something that doesn't exist.
Oh, okay.
And it's fine. And we create our audit.txt, and it's empty, as you would expect.
Makes sense. Yep.
Okay, cool. And if we run it again, it stays empty, even though audit.txt is here, right? And if I bring one file name back, where's audit.txt? Close audit.txt. And if we run this now, I've renamed b.textx back to b.text. Run it. B.text shows up, and then a.text will be next. And our audit.txt will be here, and we will run it. And we're all back to where we were through this remove mechanism.
Yep.
Cool?
Cool.
Yeah, all right. This is great. I want to show you one other way if this remove won't work for you. For example, let's do our dojo.proj, and we're going to do another target here. Yes, here's what I want to do. This is in our test project, so we're adding a test target, okay?
Okay.
Test. We're going to call it test, because what better name than to call it test? All right, target. And what I want to do is I want to print out a message, and I want to print out, test shows that audit equals our audit collection. Okay? And I want this to depends on targets equals auditing. Right?
Yes.
And this target is first, and then we do our import. So this target should be the thing I run if I don't specify anything, right? Because it's the first first target found, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. Now notice our audit is auditing, shows that, and our test now shows audit afterwards that the collection has been modified. See, by running our auditing target, we have removed the audit.txt file from the collection when this target runs after it. Okay? And you're like, yeah, that sounds good in this case. But let's say we didn't want to do that for some reason. Then you could, the way to handle that is you create another item. And you'll see these sometimes where they get an underscore in front of them. And it kind of means like internal implementation detail. Like don't look here. You can see it in front of target names sometimes. You can see it in front of like item names and property names. Essentially, this is my own private variable. Please don't mess with it. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm good. Oops, before I change this. This is the way we were doing it, and I like the way we're doing it now. I think that's correct. I want to show this way before we move on to the next thing. All right. So I'm going to create another collection, call it the our internal audit, and instead of removing, I'm going to include all of audit. So I'm creating a new collection that is that previous collection, and I'm going to rename everything to use it. So what I did was I copied the collection and then I put it here. And when I run this now, audit is set, and my audit.txt is back, right? Because I copied the entire collection, but I'm using this new name, right? Right. So we can do something like condition equals, and I want to remove the audit.txt, so I can say condition remove the identity that equals audit.txt equals, I don't know why I did double equals. Oh, okay. Quote, because it's a string. Remember we talked about that a long time ago. Condition does not equal audit.txt with quotes around it, single quotes around it. I've been doing too many syntax of conditions. Is that the right syntax? I forget. Let's try it. So what am I saying? I'm saying build up this item collection where the identity does not equal audit.txt. Okay?
Yes.
There we go. Now notice a.text, b.text, our audit is now missing audit.txt, right? But our test still shows a.text, audit.text, and b.text.
Okay.
So what I did was I created a new collection from the previous collection. I created that collection and then I mucked with it. I modified it. Here I used a condition. We could do it another way. We'll try that second. But by creating a separate collection with my internal, I can then use it within this target. I can use it actually after this target as well. It's out there in the space. There's a duplication of the collection. It's my own copy of it. But that means I did not modify the original collection, which maybe that is, precious to the user. Maybe they really did expect audit.txt to show up in that when it's there and they do something with it because they expect it to show up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. And Eugene brought up the, thing. You could rename audit.txt to something not audit.txt, like audit.built or built.audit or whatever. And that would avoid our star.txt, but then it would not solve the star.audit or whatever. My whole point is this is how you do something with a collection. Now, moreover, I would say we might want to do file name and extension. Extension there. That's still out. So that's another way of finding it. Again, it's just matching on this string. Okay?
Right.
Okay. All right. So, and then another way instead of this is to do audit. This one, include all of that. And then, oh, wait. Does this work? I forget if this works. This might work too. Exclude. I forgot about exclude. I went through all that work with condition because my brain, I've been doing a lot of stuff with conditions. But you also have this whole exclude thing, which I totally spaced on. I'm glad I remembered. Include, exclude. You can, when you're creating a collection, say grab all these, but not these.
That seems pretty easy there.
Yeah.
Exclude.
Very useful. I don't think we talked about that before. How did we miss that? Wow. All right. Another way of avoiding all of these problems. Okay. So this allows you to create your own internal. This is, by the way, much better than that solution. This is the best way to do that. All right. Include everything from audit and then take that and then we'll go from there. All right. Cool. Great.
Yes.
Cool. On to second. Okay. Eugene brought up the idea that, hey, you could rename the file to built.audit.txt, or more useful probably, David, we could put it in another directory. Like, right. What if I don't want the audit.txt right here? And what if I want to control the name of audit.txt? What if I want, I don't want it here, right? Go put it somewhere else. All right. So how would we put it somewhere else? We would make audit.txt a variable. What's a variable called in MSBuild? Anybody? Variable in process? It's a property.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Audit. Audit output file. Let's just go create that variable. All right. And now, as a user, I can, in my project, property group, all right, let's name it something different for once now. What did you call it? Build.audit. We'll call it build.audit in honor of Eugene. All right, there you go. Cool. So what I do, I said, hey, here's my audit.output file. Build that. Let's take our target out for now. We'll include all those. We'll delete our audit.txt. We'll look at our audit targets. We will say we are auditing, write files, audit output file, right? And yeah, and then when we exclude, we also want to exclude that audit output file from our collection, right? Yep. So there's our variable name everywhere. Cool?
Cool.
Run it again. We get a build.audit, and it has our two text files, and everybody's happy. Cool?
Nice.
Cool. All right. Now, we want to make our audit.targets operate without having a whole bunch of dependencies on the project file. So we would like the dojo.proj to not have to have anything in it. So we'll comment that out, except, hey, I have some items I want to audit, and then please pull in our auto.targets. Okay. So what if we do this and we do a build? We have a problem because the write lines files to task was not given a value for the required parameter file. What happened? We didn't define that property anywhere. if the user didn't define the property, then we probably should have a default one, don't you think?
Yes.
So let's go ahead and give ourselves a default one. Let's protect ourselves. And there's a few ways we can do this. So we're going to explore the ways that we can set up these defaults. All right, so we can do this, right?
Right.
And let's say we'll call this default.audit so we can tell the difference between the two of them. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's delete build.audit. Move your cycle, boom, 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 delete, clear screen, MSBuild, and text, hey, look, we have default.audit, and that's good. Yay, right? Cool. Right. Now we'll delete it again, and now let's go back to our project file, and let's customize it. So now we want the audit output file to be build.audit, right?
Right.
Is this going to work?
I think so.
Yeah, we're going to get default.audit. We got default.audit, not our build.audit, because we're always setting this property.
Oh, need a condition or something?
Yep, we need a condition. And we can put this condition in several places. Condition equals, let's see, audit is blank. I've been doing this too much. Is it double equals or single equals? Well, let's just find out. Run it again. Delete default.audit. All right, delete default. Yeah, okay, double equals. Like I said, I've been doing too many conditions. My brain is completely scrambled. Okay, there we go. And now look, our file is now called build.audit.
Yep.
Woohoo, nice. That's great. Okay, another way we could do this is we could put the condition up here, right? We could put on this whole property group. There's only one property. That works too. Run again, we still get build.audit. All right?
Mm-hmm.
No big surprise. Okay, we can even, well, we'll do that. All right, this makes sense. We've now customized it. This is cool, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, when we're running this build, we can see it's doing work here, and we tell it to overwrite that file, right? So build.audit was written. And you know what? Let's add a line. Ooh, this is a good idea. Let's add a line. Can I do this? No, I don't know how. It's trying to get the... Never mind. It's a good idea, but I'm not going to try to do it now because I don't exactly have the syntax off the top of my head. We'll come back to it. All right. So the thing is, though, when I build this file again, so if we look at the build, right, build, we built at 1118. When I run it again, and we do a list of files, it's now 1119, which means we are rebuilding this audit file every single time.
Right.
Did the contents of this change? A and B's timestamps didn't change. Nothing changed. We're writing this file every time we build, right?
Right.
Yeah, not great. How do we solve that? Well, we already just talked about it. Inputs and outputs. Right?
Yep.
So our inputs are our audit file. Our audit collection. Right? And our outputs are our file that we're creating here. Do you see a problem? Our default output is defined inside the target. Problem, huh?
Yes.
Yes. So fortunately, we can just pull it up here. Ta-da. Now, if it's not defined, we will define it as part of our targets file, which means it will get evaluated when the whole project is loaded. I'm going to delete that. Okay. So dojo.proj defines its variable up here. It'll import our project. Our project will then check to see if it's not null. If it is null, if it is, use our default. And then later on when our target runs, it will evaluate our inputs and our outputs. Cool?
Cool.
Oh, I can get rid of this. Nope, sorry, that's the item group. All right, cool. Now let's clear this screen and run again. Did I delete the file? Okay, I deleted the file. Notice our audit.txt ran. Our build.audit is all happy. Now, hopefully, if we build again, skipping target auditing because all the outputs are relative to the outputs. It's great, right?
Yep.
Yep, it's like perfect. This is working. Yay. One small problem. Let's go back and change our dojo.proj back to audit.txt. Audit.txt, right? Okay, so we're going to write audit.txt again, not build.audit. Right?
Okay.
All good? All good. We're including it. We're going to remove it. We'll include it, except we'll exclude the output file. So hopefully we don't see it getting written to the target file, and we will end up with an audit.txt, and everything will work the way it used to. Albeit a little bit more complicated because now you can change the output file. There's more variables in here, but it's still holding together, right?
Right.
Boom. Look, it worked. And we audited. We got an audit.txt. It's here, A and B. This looks good, right?
Right.
And then when we run it again, it skips and everything's fine. All right, cool. It actually worked better than I thought it was. I was afraid that it was going to run again because our audit file was in the list of files that was also an output. Because remember, we're using audit here, not audit with the output file excluded.
Oh, okay. Right.
Right. So that could have been a problem. Except that it just happens that this writes to file before this finishes, so everything ends up being okay. Okay, so we're all right there. Should we try to show you how to fix it real quick? If you wanted to solve that?
Yeah.
The way you'd have to solve that, let's say we did have a problem, and we're not going to be able to see it, so it's a little bit harder, but calculate audit files or audit inputs. You create a helper project, helper target down here that always runs, that does our little item group trick. And then you put the result of that on there. Okay. So you see this target runs, depends on targets, runs this, calculates its result, and then it will use the inputs and outputs. I think that will get us the same thing. Oh, I got to delete the audit.txt. Delete, move to recycle bin. Oh, I got double a dot. Oh, I got double a.txt, b.txt. Why? Because one, I'm calculating it here, and I'm calculating it again inside the target. So it created a collection with everything in it, then it created a collection again of everything within it. There we go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And let's say, there we go. See, now we can see that it did calculated our audit to make sure that we use our underscore, our internal audit. Then that gets calculated. See how then it does auditing? So it did our depends on targets first, so we could calculate the actual correct values without our output file included. That part right there. And then inputs, outputs for us. Okay. So the calculate target always runs, no matter what. It always runs, but then it skips the second one every time. And that way we are making sure that we are using the correct collection everywhere in here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does now. It just dawned on me. Yep.
Yeah, and this is really important when you get down to trying to get it. Our write lines, the file task is like really fast, so it doesn't feel that bad. But if it was really big, or if the audit file needed to only be written if any of the files change, like that could be an important facet of your whole system, then you can't be writing it over every time. You have to get your inputs and outputs right.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. I have one more thing I want to talk about, but we'll save that for next week because this system is fine. The way we have everything, it's working. We actually have quite a feature now, right? Like, we can audit here. We can delete our audit.txt here. We can then run it. We'll get a default audit file. We get timestamps. We did a whole exploration of quotes and escaping quotes and all kinds of things like that. That was fun. And we have a working project that uses everything we've done up to this point, right? We've done, except we don't have any batching in here anymore, but we saw batching in here and it did not give us what we wanted, but our transformation, our item transformation did. And now we have a working system, right?
Right.
A working audit system. So next year, David.
Wow.
In 2026, what we're going to do is we're going to refine this one more little step. I want to show you a neat trick to think about when you create these projects. And then we're going to package this thing up so it can be reusable by other people. And I think that's probably what we'll do in the next episode. So very likely with that, we'll be able to wrap up our whole entire audit project in 2 episodes, which I think will be pretty cool. Does something useful, semi-useful, and it will set us up for then the more complicated project we'll build after, which would be zip projects.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. All right. This was fun. Thank you, all of you, for joining us for all of 2025. It's been great to have you here. Wow. 2026 is right around the corner. That's when we'll see you. For those of you watching this on the last week of December, the recording, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and you have a wonderful and happy new year. We'll see you guys next year. Bye.
In the future. Bye.